6 months. That's all it takes to change your entire life if you stop waiting and start moving. No more someday. No more waiting for the perfect plan. Just 6 months of pure focus, discipline, and silence. That's all. In this audiobook, you're going to discover how to rebuild your mindset, your habits, your routine, your confidence, and your entire identity, one decision, one day at a time. This isn't some overnight success hype. This is real work, done consistently, in private, and it works. Each chapter in this journey is built for one thing: momentum. Because if you stay locked in, if you give yourself 6 months without distraction, without explanation, without excuses, everything in your life can shift. Fully, permanently. So if you're ready, subscribe to this transformation. Don't just listen. Commit. And watch what happens. Let's begin. Chapter 1. It starts with a decision, not a plan. Everything in your life can change, but not by accident, not by luck, not by some outside force coming to save you. It changes the moment you decide you're done living like this. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now. That moment, the one where something clicks inside you and says, enough. That's where the shift begins. Not when the world believes in you. Not when the timing is perfect. It begins when you stop tolerating your own excuses, when you stop looking at your life as something you're stuck in and start treating it like something you can rebuild day by day, hour by hour. This chapter is not about motivation. It's about truth. Because here's the truth most people avoid. Your life is your responsibility. No one is coming to force you to grow. No one is coming to make you disciplined. You don't need more information. You need a decision. You've waited long enough. You've talked about change. You've wished for momentum. But wishing doesn't change things. What changes things is commitment. Not loud commitment. Quiet, personal, ruthless. The kind of commitment that doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be honored. This is where most people fail. They want a master plan. They want a step-by-step guide. They want someone to say, here's exactly what to do for the next 6 months, and here's the guarantee. But life doesn't work that way. Life responds to action, to hunger, to energy, and the ones who change their lives aren't the ones who waited for the plan. They're the ones who moved first and figured it out on the way. The process of change doesn't require perfection. It requires momentum. It requires you to say, I'm done negotiating with the version of me that keeps holding me back. That voice in your head, the one that says it's too late, you failed too much, you're not ready. That voice isn't the truth. That voice is fear, wearing your voice, and it's time to stop listening. You don't have to climb the whole mountain today. You don't have to fix every part of your life overnight. But you do have to move. You do have to make the first cut into the laziness, the doubt, the habits that no longer serve you. And that cut? It comes from choice. A 6-month transformation doesn't require magic. It requires consistency. It requires you to stop asking for permission and start giving yourself a mission. Not a perfect plan. Just a mission. A reason. A direction. Because the power isn't in what you know, it's in what you do with what you know. Start with what you have, wherever you are. Even if it's messy. Even if you feel broken. Even if you feel behind. Because the truth is, that's where most great stories begin. Not from the top, but from rock bottom. Not with confidence, but with frustration. Not with clarity, but with hunger. And hunger is enough. If you're willing to give yourself 6 months, really give yourself, not halfway, not kinda sorta, but all in, then your life will not look the same on the other side. That's not a maybe, that's a fact. But you have to be okay with discomfort, with silence, with sacrifice, with discipline. You have to be okay with saying no to people who waste your time, with cutting ties with habits that numb your fire, with creating a life that looks boring to others, but builds something unstoppable inside you. It's not glamorous, It's not exciting, but it's real. The first week feels like change. The second week feels like war. The third week feels like doubt. But somewhere in week 4, something starts to click. You start to believe yourself again. Not because of results, but because of rhythm. Because you've stopped betraying your own word. Because you've started keeping promises to yourself that no one else hears. And that's when the real shift happens, not outside but within. You start walking differently, talking differently, thinking differently, and that energy, it becomes a force. People feel it, doors open, opportunities show up. But not because you waited, because you moved. Because you stopped letting circumstances define your identity. Because you stopped waiting for motivation and started acting from purpose. This is your beginning. Right here. This chapter is your line in the sand. From this moment forward, your past doesn't get to tell you who you are. Your habits do, your actions do, your days do. Give yourself 6 months of silence, discipline, and non-negotiable focus, and the life you're dreaming of will start to recognize you. Because change doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens the moment you decide, I'm done living below my potential. I'm done talking about change. I'm done waiting. I'm ready. And once you decide that nothing can stop you, Chapter 2, cut the noise. Build the focus. The moment you decide to change your life, you'll feel it. The noise, it creeps in everywhere, from your phone, from your friends, from your own mind. It whispers distractions, doubts, and detours. And if you don't learn how to silence it early, it will steal your momentum before you even begin. Focus isn't just about attention, it's about protection. You're not just focusing on the goal. You're protecting your energy, your mind, your time. You're building a wall between who you were and who you're becoming. And that wall is built with boundaries. Most people never change, not because they're lazy, but because they're too accessible. They say yes too quickly. They get pulled into everything. Every conversation, every trending topic, every drama that doesn't concern them. They think staying connected keeps them relevant, but in reality, it keeps them exposed. If you want to change your life in 6 months, you need to become hard to reach. Not because you're rude, but because you're real. Because you finally understand that not everyone deserves access to you when you're building something sacred. This season of your life is not about being available. It's about being unshakable. That means saying no more often. That means unplugging without explanation. That means letting people think you're acting different, because you are. You're not that same version of yourself anymore. The version that needed to explain everything. The version that stayed in toxic conversations to keep the peace. The version that filled every empty space with noise. No, that version held you back. Now you choose silence over small talk. Now you choose the gym over gossip. Now you choose planning over procrastination. And that shift, that mental switch, that's the real work most never do. Because silence is uncomfortable. Because boundaries feel selfish. Because walking away from distractions means walking alone for a while. But what they don't tell you is, clarity lives in that silence. You start to hear yourself again. You start to feel your own power returning. You start to notice how much time you were wasting, how many dreams were leaking through the cracks of conversation. You no longer seek validation. You no longer explain your moves, you just move. And people begin to notice. They won't always understand, but they'll notice. You'll see it in their eyes, you'll feel it in the distance. Some will respect it, some will resent it. But that's none of your concern. Because you've got 6 months to change everything, and that kind of change doesn't come with crowd approval. It comes from tunnel vision, from waking up with purpose, from protecting your mornings, from cutting the useless noise that's been draining you for years. You're not rude for going quiet. You're strategic. You're not arrogant for saying no. You're disciplined. You're not distant for protecting your peace. You're focused. Focus is a rare thing now. That's why it's so powerful. It's why it feels lonely. It's why people talk about you when you finally disappear from the noise. But guess what? Let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them misunderstand. Because while they're distracted, you're evolving. You're learning to concentrate for longer than 5 minutes. You're training your mind to sit in discomfort without running. You're preparing your spirit to hold more weight than before. And slowly, you stop craving distractions altogether. You start feeling stronger in your solitude. Your thoughts get clearer. Your decisions get bolder. And you start noticing something incredible. You don't miss the noise, because for the first time you're making real progress. Not just motion. Not just busy work, but deep, intentional forward movement. You know what that feels like? It feels like peace. It feels like alignment. It feels like power. And you've never needed noise to feel powerful. You've just been conditioned to believe that silence means emptiness. But now you know better. Now you see that cutting the noise was never about the world. It was about you. It was about remembering who you are when no one else is influencing your thoughts. It was about finally giving your goals the respect they deserve. It was about building a version of yourself that can't be distracted anymore. So keep going. Say no when it's needed. Walk away when it's time. Mute the noise and guard your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. 6 months of real focus can change everything. But it starts when you decide. The noise ends here. The world can wait. I'm building something. And I'm not stopping until I become the person I was always meant to be. Chapter 3, Discipline is the real freedom. At first, discipline feels like a prison. Waking up early, saying no to comfort, pushing when your body wants rest. It's hard. It feels like restriction. It feels like punishment. But that's only at the beginning. Stay with it long enough, and something surprising happens. That pain starts to turn into power. That restriction becomes structure. And that structure, it becomes freedom. The world sells freedom as doing whatever you want. Sleeping in, skipping workouts, spending money, living loose. But that kind of freedom comes with chains. Chains of regret, anxiety, and stagnation. Real freedom isn't doing whatever you feel like. Real freedom is having the power to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can't build anything permanent without it. You can't lose weight, grow wealth, master your craft, or rebuild your identity without it. Dreams don't work without discipline. Desire without discipline is a fantasy, but desire with discipline, that's unstoppable. The problem is, most people rely on motivation. And motivation is a liar. It's fleeting. It's emotional. It disappears the moment things get hard. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up on time. It follows the routine. It repeats what works. Even when it's boring. You have to build a relationship with boredom. You have to fall in love with repetition, with the grind, with the small silent wins that no one else claps for. The early mornings that feel empty. The meals you prep while others eat junk. The money you save while others show off. That's where the difference is made, not in the highlights, but in the discipline that builds them. If you want to change your life in 6 months, don't ask what you need to learn. Ask what you need to practice. Because mastery doesn't come from knowing. It comes from doing. And doing again. And again. Until it becomes second nature. Discipline is what keeps you aligned when emotions try to pull you off track. It's what keeps you grounded when progress feels slow. It's what makes sure you don't go back to who you were just because results haven't shown up yet. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. You don't need 100 perfect days. You need 1 day done 100 times. That's how it works. At first, it will feel robotic, forced, mechanical. But then, it becomes part of your identity. You don't have to force yourself to wake up early, you just do. You don't debate whether to show up, you show up, because it's not something you do anymore. It's who you are. And that's when the power hits. That's when discipline becomes invisible, seamless. That's when you stop needing willpower to push you. You're already moving. You've built momentum. This is what separates winners from wishers, the ones who want it, and the ones who get it. Not just talent, not just timing. Discipline, quiet, relentless, non-negotiable. And here's the secret: the more disciplined you are, the simpler your life becomes. You don't waste energy making 1,000 small decisions. You already know what the standard is. You've already chosen who you want to be. When you build discipline, you build peace. You no longer live in constant decision fatigue. You don't wake up wondering what the day will look like. You know, because you've designed it, you've built a rhythm. And that rhythm carries you further than hype ever could. But it's not built in one day. It's built today, then again tomorrow, then again the next day, and over time, it builds you. So if you want freedom, stop chasing ease. Chase discipline. Chase the habits that keep you sharp. Chase the schedule that doesn't care if you're tired. Chase the standards that make the rest of your life easier. Because once discipline is installed, your whole world begins to shift. You stop reacting. You start leading. You stop waiting. You start creating. And soon, 6 months from now, you won't just look different. You'll feel different. And more importantly, you'll trust yourself again. You'll walk into rooms knowing you've earned the confidence you carry. You'll speak differently, think differently, move differently. Because discipline didn't just change your habits, it changed your life. Chapter 4. Your environment is either fuel or poison. You can have the strongest mind, the clearest goal, the most powerful discipline, but if your environment is toxic, you will struggle. And not because you're weak, but because your surroundings shape you more than you realize. If you want to change your life in 6 months, you must take full ownership of what you allow around you. The people, the conversations, the noise, the routines, it all adds up. Every small exposure, every little influence, they either sharpen you or soften you. They push you forward or pull you back. There is no neutral ground when you're trying to evolve. Everything either feeds your growth or feeds your destruction. This is where many people fall off. They decide to grow, but they stay in the same environment, same lazy circle, same unspoken rules, same draining energy. They keep trying to rise, but the weight around them keeps dragging them back. And slowly, they forget the mission, not because they're not serious, but because they're surrounded by a culture that doesn't support it. Culture is stronger than intention. You might intend to wake up early, but if your environment stays up all night, you won't last. You might intend to eat clean, but if your kitchen is full of junk, your discipline will decay. You might intend to focus, but if you live inside a digital circus, your mind will scatter. This is why environment matters. If you want peace, build a peaceful space. If you want focus, eliminate visual noise. If you want to grow, be around people who challenge and inspire, not distract and drain. It's not always about cutting everyone off. It's about creating a boundary between what feeds your future and what feeds your past. You don't have to hate anyone. You just have to love your vision more than you love staying comfortable. You might feel guilty for outgrowing people, for needing space. But that's not selfish. That's survival. That's what transformation demands. You are not here to carry dead weight. You're here to build, and not everyone is meant to build with you. Some people were part of your story, but not your legacy. Some environments were okay for the old you, but not for who you're becoming. And until you clean the space around you, you'll keep wondering why the growth feels so heavy. Now, changing your environment doesn't always mean moving cities or cutting all ties. Sometimes it just means shifting how you use your time. What you watch, what you listen to, who gets access to your energy. It means becoming intentional, selective, protective. Start with your space, your room, your desk, your phone. Look at it with clear eyes. Does this reflect the life I'm building or the life I'm escaping? Does this support my momentum or sabotage it? Because your environment is not just physical, it's digital, emotional, energetic. And the most powerful thing you can do in this 6-month transformation is align your surroundings with your mission. Wake up to a clean space. Surround yourself with reminders of who you're becoming, not who you were. Curate your digital world so that even when you scroll, you're feeding your mind. Mute the noise. Unfollow the chaos. Redesign your day so that every corner of your life whispers, keep going. And as you do that, you'll notice something. The resistance gets lighter. The doubt gets quieter. The process gets clearer. Because now you're not fighting your surroundings, you're being supported by them. That's the shift. That's the difference between struggling in a storm and moving with the wind. So take this seriously. Audit everything. Your space, your habits, your circle. Because when your environment aligns with your intention, your results begin to multiply. You move faster. You think sharper. You feel stronger. Not because you changed everything, but because you stopped allowing everything access to you. Give yourself permission to reset, to declutter, to detach, to rebuild your world so it matches your future, not your history. The people who truly care about your growth will understand. The ones who don't were never meant to stay. Let them go. You're not rude. You're focused. You're not arrogant. You're evolving. And when the world sees the new you, they'll think you changed overnight. But you'll know better. It wasn't magic. It was the environment. You just made it sacred. Chapter 5. Break the pattern or repeat the pain. Every life that doesn't change is trapped in a pattern. Not a dramatic crisis. Not a huge failure. Just a quiet, invisible loop that repeats day after day. The same thoughts. The same excuses, the same distractions, the same energy drain. And before you know it, 6 months pass, and nothing is different. This chapter is about making sure that doesn't happen to you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need more time. You need a new pattern. You already know what's holding you back. The late nights that turn into sluggish mornings, the endless scrolling, the empty conversations, the skipped workouts. The same toxic reactions to the same emotional triggers. This isn't new. You've seen it, you've felt it, you've lived it, and now it has to end. You cannot bring the same habits into a new season and expect different results. That's not growth, that's insanity, that's stagnation disguised as effort. That's momentum killed by comfort. And you deserve more than that. 6 months is long enough to build a new identity, but only if you break the loop you're stuck in, only if you look your patterns in the face and say, no more. It won't be easy, because patterns feel like safety, they feel like routine, they feel like home, even when they're hurting you, but staying in them costs more than change ever will. The pain you're avoiding by staying the same, it's not going away, it's just stacking. And one day, it'll hit you all at once. In your health, in your money, in your self-worth. So ask yourself, do you want temporary discomfort now or long-term disappointment later? Because the only way to escape the pain is to face it, to sit in it, to stop numbing it, and finally learn from it. If you're tired of the cycle, break it. Start with your mornings. Stop snoozing your potential away. Start with your meals. Stop eating like your future doesn't matter. Start with your words. Stop speaking like life is happening to you, and start owning it like it's being built by you. It doesn't have to be a dramatic overhaul. Just one shift, one behavior, one loop you refuse to repeat. And once you break that first loop, you build momentum. You start catching yourself earlier. You start noticing the triggers before they grab you. You start choosing differently, and that's when change becomes permanent. But you have to stay aware. You have to ask yourself daily, am I repeating the pain or rewriting the pattern? Because the mind is tricky. It loves what's familiar, even if it hurts you. It loves shortcuts. It loves old rhythms. But your spirit, your vision, your purpose, that part of you doesn't want comfort. It wants growth. And growth comes from cutting the loop, not running from it. The loops will try to seduce you back in. On hard days, your old habits will sound like peace, but they're not peace. They're prison. Silent prisons that feel warm but keep you stuck. Don't go back there. When the urge hits to scroll mindlessly, pause. When the craving comes to binge instead of build, pause. When you hear that old inner voice whispering, it's okay to skip today, pause. Because every time you pause, you get stronger. Every time you resist the loop, you weaken its grip. And that power compounds. That's how transformation happens, not in loud declarations, but in quiet choices. You're not too far gone. You're not too broken. You're just stuck in a rhythm that no longer serves you. And now you're ready to change the song. You were not born to repeat yesterday forever. You were built to evolve. You were built to choose again. And 6 months from now, the version of you reading this will barely recognize the one who started, because they broke the loop. So do it. Cut the pattern. Kill the old momentum. Interrupt the cycle that keeps stealing your power. You've lived enough days on repeat. Now it's time to live a day on purpose. Then another, and another, until your entire life is a reflection of the moment you decided. The pain ends here. Chapter 6. Move in silence. Let the work speak. The world we live in today is loud. Everyone's posting. Everyone's performing. Every little effort is broadcasted. Every intention is shared before it's executed. And because of that, most people exhaust their energy on looking like they're doing something instead of actually doing it. But if you're truly serious about changing your life in 6 months, you need to understand this. The most powerful moves are made in silence. Not because you're hiding, not because you're sneaky, but because you're focused. Because when you're truly locked in, you don't have time to perform. You don't have the desire to update everyone. You're too busy becoming. You don't owe the world a status report. You don't have to announce your transformation before it's complete. You don't need permission to change in private. Because here's the truth. Early applause can be dangerous. It gives you a dopamine hit that tricks your brain into thinking the work is already done. You start feeding off reactions instead of results, and slowly you lose momentum. Real progress doesn't need a witness. It just needs repetition. And when the transformation becomes visible, when your body, your income, your mind, your peace speaks for itself, you won't have to say a word. The silence will have done the talking. Some people won't understand your quiet season. Let them misunderstand. They'll wonder why you're not posting your goals anymore, why you're not at every event, why you've stopped replying to pointless conversations. Let them wonder. Because while they're watching others, you're building. While they're distracted, you're focused. While they're collecting likes, you're collecting results. And when it's time, your work will be undeniable. Not because you made noise, but because you made progress. You don't have to share your routine. You just have to build one. You don't have to justify your grind. You just have to be consistent. You don't have to update the world. You just have to update your habits. The right people will notice. The right people will feel it. Not because you told them, but because your discipline changed your energy. And that energy, it speaks louder than any caption ever could. This chapter of your life is not about proving anything. It's about becoming something. You're not trying to impress people. You're trying to meet the future version of yourself. The version who doesn't care about opinions. The version who doesn't explain their vision. The version who just shows up and handles it. Silence is strength. When you're silent, you protect your energy. You protect your pace. You avoid the trap of needing to perform progress before it's real. And that protection, that's where the real growth happens. No outside pressure, no need for applause, just you, the plan, and the execution. It won't feel glamorous, it'll feel lonely, repetitive, boring. But that's exactly where the shift happens. That's where your new identity takes root. Not when everyone sees it, but when no one does and you show up anyway. There's a different kind of power in doing the right thing with no audience. There's a different kind of fire in growing quietly. There's a different kind of satisfaction when results come. And you know they came from pure focus, not performance. So go quiet. Go invisible for a while. Disengage from anything that doesn't feed your growth. Turn down the volume of the outside world and let your future self be the only witness that matters. Because 6 months from now, the people who once doubted you, they won't recognize you, and you won't have to say a word. Chapter 7. Rebuild your identity from the inside out. Your life can't change until your identity does. You can change your habits, your schedule, your goals, but if deep down you still see yourself as the same person who quits, the same person who fails, the same person who never follows through, then you'll keep returning to your old life. You see, transformation isn't just about what you do, it's about who you believe you are. And if you want a different life, you need to build a different you. This is where the real work begins. Not in the gym, not in the budget, not in the to-do list. The real work starts in your self-perception, in the story you silently repeat to yourself when no one's listening. Every action you take either reinforces or rewrites that story. You can't build a strong future with a broken internal narrative. If you see yourself as lazy, you'll act lazy, even on your most motivated days. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll keep breaking promises to yourself, no matter how much you want change. If you see yourself as someone who always messes up, then you'll unconsciously sabotage every bit of progress you make. That's why it's time to rebuild. Quietly, deliberately. Every day, it begins with integrity, not with others, but with yourself. You say you'll wake up early? Do it. You say you'll train today? Do it. You say you'll cut the junk food, get the work done, take the cold shower, break the loop, then do it. Every time you follow through on a promise, no matter how small, your brain rewrites your identity. I said I'd do it. I did it. I'm that kind of person now. You start to build proof. Proof that you are no longer who you were. Proof that this new version of you is real. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. The more your actions align with your future, the less your past has power over you. But this change is subtle. No one will see it at first. That's okay. It's not for them. It's in the way you carry yourself differently. In the decisions you make when no one's watching. In the confidence that starts to grow, not from praise, but from progress. You're becoming someone else, not for the world, for you. And it's not just about doing new things. It's about seeing through old lies. The lie that you're not disciplined. The lie that you always fail. The lie that people like you don't win. These were never facts. They were patterns. And patterns can be broken, but not by force, by intention. Every time you take one aligned step forward, you chip away at the old self. Every time you choose differently, you reclaim a piece of your power. And one day, you'll realize you no longer relate to your past self. Not because you hate them, but because you outgrew them. They were just the starting point. This identity you're building, it's not based on hype. It's built on discipline, on silence, on small wins, on real character. You don't need to declare, I'm changing. Just live like it. Let your habits do the talking. Let your body language shift naturally. Let your tone carry authority that only comes from self-trust. This is your rebirth, not by force, but by design. Not everyone will understand your quiet change. Let them stay confused. You're not performing for applause. You're performing for alignment. You're showing up for the version of yourself that's been buried under years of doubt. And now, in these next 6 months, that version is rising. Stronger, sharper, simpler, unshaken. Because this time, you're not trying to become someone new. You're just finally removing everything that never belonged to you in the first place. Chapter 8. Momentum over motivation. Everyone starts with motivation. It's exciting at first. The new goals, the new routine, the idea of becoming unrecognizable in 6 months. You feel inspired. You write things down. You talk about it. You picture the future. But then, real life shows up. You oversleep. You get overwhelmed. You feel tired. The excitement fades, and in that moment, most people quit. Not because the goal wasn't real, but because they were relying on a feeling to carry them. Here's the truth. Motivation is temporary. But momentum? Momentum is everything. Motivation gets you started. Momentum keeps you going. And momentum is not emotional. It's mechanical. It's math. It's movement compounded over time. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't need hype music or a motivational video. It just needs action. Over and over, until the process becomes your rhythm. Let's say you commit to waking up at 5 a.m. for 30 days. The first few days, you'll need motivation. You'll hate the alarm. You'll want to quit. But if you show up anyway, something begins to shift. Around day 7, your body adjusts. Around day 14, it gets easier. Around day 21, it feels normal. And by day 30, it's part of you. That's not motivation. That's momentum. That's what you're building in these 6 months. Because the truth is, every single day, you either build momentum or break it. There's no neutral. You're either feeding your future or feeding your excuses. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for inspiration. You stop needing a perfect mood or the right playlist. You just show up. And every time you do, even when it's ugly, even when it's half-hearted, you're building something permanent. You're telling your mind, this is who I am now. And the more you build that identity, the less you need to push yourself. You're already in motion. That's the beauty of momentum. It removes resistance. It's why it's easier to keep going than to start over. It's why one missed day turns into 3. And it's why protecting your streak matters more than chasing perfection. You don't need to crush it every day. You just need to not quit. Not today, not tomorrow, not this week. Just keep stacking. Even if today feels like a 60% effort, that 60% matters. Because 60% done consistently outperforms 100% done once. The world rewards momentum. Success doesn't come from one massive push. It comes from the invisible accumulation of effort, done in silence, over and over again. Think of water dripping on rock. One drop means nothing, but over time, that rock splits. Not from pressure, from consistency. That's how lives change. Not from bursts, from compounding. But the secret most people never figure out. Momentum is built on systems. Not vibes. Not motivation. Systems. Your system is your anchor. If you want to lose weight, don't just get hyped. Build a system. Meal prep. Bedtime routine. Workout slot. If you want to grow your income, don't just visualize success. Build a system. Daily outreach, weekly budgeting, scheduled learning time. It's not sexy, but it works. And when it works, everything gets lighter. You stop second-guessing. You stop needing to feel ready. You just move. Because the system is already in place. And when you keep moving, guess what happens? Your results start talking. You see the scale drop. You see your bank account grow. You feel stronger, more confident, more clear. That momentum, it becomes addictive. Because nothing feels better than waking up and knowing, I'm already becoming who I said I'd be. You stop fantasizing. You stop overthinking. You stop consuming endless content and finally step into the role of a creator of your day, your health, your money, your mind, and the people around you. They'll feel it. They'll see the shift. They won't always understand it, but it won't matter. Because by then, you'll be too far in, too focused, too driven, too aligned. And you'll look back one day and realize, this wasn't about motivation. It was about choosing to move, especially on the days you didn't feel like it. And that choice, made daily, is how everything changed. Chapter 9. Energy is your real currency. Everyone talks about time as your most valuable resource, and yes, time matters. But the truth is, energy is what really shapes your days. Because you can have all the time in the world, but if you're drained, distracted, discouraged, nothing meaningful happens. Energy is what fuels action. It's what fuels focus. It's what fuels your ability to stay consistent over time. And in this 6-month journey, protecting and directing your energy is non-negotiable. Think about it. How many times have you had the time, but not the energy? You sat there, schedule wide open, but your mind was foggy, your spirit low, your body tired, and so the work didn't get done. Not because you were lazy, but because your energy had been leaking all day, all week, all year. The question isn't just, how are you spending your time? It's where is your energy going? And if you're serious about changing your life in 6 months, you need to audit that deeply. Energy leaks. Start with your leaks. The people who drain you, the habits that weaken you, the environments that stress you, the thoughts that spiral you, every notification you check, every pointless conversation you engage in, every scroll session that turns into a comparison trap. It all chips away at your internal battery. You might not feel it at first, but by midday, you wonder why you're unmotivated, why you're behind, why the tasks feel heavier than they should. That's because you're carrying 1,000 micro-distractions in your nervous system. And here's the dangerous part. This kind of exhaustion becomes normal. You get used to it. You think it's just part of life. But it's not life. It's noise. And noise can be eliminated. You just need to reclaim control. Energy boundaries. This means setting boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. No more emotional multitasking. No more allowing everyone access to your mental space. No more just checking your phone every 5 minutes. No more reacting to every ping, every post, every piece of drama that doesn't build your future. This isn't isolation. This is protection. You're building something. You're in a transformation season, and that means your energy is sacred. Imagine your energy like money. Would you give away your paycheck to every random stranger who asked for it? Would you throw cash into the wind every hour of the day? Of course not. But that's exactly what happens when you allow your energy to scatter without intention. You owe yourself better. Energy investment. Now let's talk about where your energy should go. Into habits that compound. Into relationships that inspire. Into rest that replenishes. Into food that fuels. Into movement that strengthens. Into environments that elevate. And most importantly, into your vision. Because when your energy is aligned with your purpose, you become unstoppable. You move faster. You think clearer. You recover quicker. You don't burn out because your fuel is coming from a clean source. You're not dragging your body through tasks. You're being pulled by your mission. And that feeling, that shift, that's where everything begins to change. Because now, you're no longer a victim of low energy. You're no longer waiting to feel ready. You've built a system that keeps you ready. 6 months of protected energy can take you further than 6 years of scattered effort. But it requires honesty. You have to stop lying to yourself about how much energy you're really working with. You have to stop pretending that a mind full of clutter can produce clear results. You have to stop running on fumes and calling it discipline. This isn't about hustling harder. This is about healing your habits. Because a well-managed life doesn't feel frantic. It feels light. It feels sharp. It feels aligned. And when you start living from that place, you no longer have to force momentum. It becomes natural. You wake up ready. You move with precision. You go to sleep fulfilled, not because the day was perfect, but because your energy was honored. So from this moment forward, let this be your standard. I protect my energy like my future depends on it, because it does. And every day that I do, I take one step closer to a life that not only looks different, but feels different. Chapter 10. Consistency is your new confidence. Confidence doesn't come from compliments. It doesn't come from claps or followers or likes. It doesn't come from saying affirmations into the mirror. It comes from one thing, and one thing only: keeping your word to yourself. Confidence is not a feeling. It's not a personality trait. It's a reputation you build with yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and you actually follow through, you stack trust, and that trust builds unshakable confidence. It's quiet, it's internal, and it's powerful. You want to feel more confident? You want to walk into rooms with your head up, your presence steady, your voice clear? Then do what you said you would do, even when no one's watching. That's the real game. Not fake it till you make it. Show up till you believe it. Let's be honest, how many times have you broken your own promises? You said you'd wake up early. You hit snooze. You said you'd stop eating junk. You caved in. You said you'd go to the gym. You skipped it. You said you'd start the business. You never moved. And each time, your brain recorded it. Not as failure, but as a pattern. A pattern that says, we don't trust our own word. That's why you feel shaky. That's why you doubt yourself. That's why it's hard to believe your own goals. But the beautiful thing, you can change the pattern. You can rebuild that trust. And it starts with consistency. Consistency is not perfection. It's not about never falling. It's about never staying down. It's about showing up again and again, no matter how small the step. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be impressive. You just have to be reliable. Reliable to your future. Reliable to your schedule. Reliable to your process. Confidence grows in repetition. When you consistently act like the version of you that's already leveled up, something shifts inside. You stop needing approval. You stop explaining yourself. You stop overthinking. You just move. You move with clarity. You move with integrity. You move with the quiet power of someone who shows up when it's hard. Let's say for 6 months, you commit to your schedule. No excuses, no dramatics, no seeking motivation. You just commit. You do the work. Maybe some days it's 40, but you never break the chain. That chain becomes your spine, your identity, your edge. And by month 3, you won't even need motivation. You'll look in the mirror and know, I'm someone who gets it done. That level of self-belief is unteachable. It's unshakable, and no one can take it from you. But you have to earn it. You have to build it. One day at a time. You'll feel the doubt fade. You'll feel the fog lift. You'll feel the hesitation melt. Because consistent action creates clarity, and clarity gives birth to courage. Before long, you'll look back and barely recognize the old you. Not because you've become someone new, but because you've become who you were always meant to be. You just hadn't met them yet. That version of you was always there, but they needed consistency to wake up. They needed structure. They needed repetition. They needed truth. So give them that. Every day you show up, even when it's hard, even when no one claps, you're feeding that identity. You're building a foundation that can't be shaken by outside noise. You're creating your own momentum, your own validation, your own greatness. 6 months from now, you won't feel confident because of how you look. You'll feel confident because of how you move, because of what you've overcome, because of what you kept doing when it was inconvenient. So from this point forward, let this be your standard. I don't chase confidence. I earn it through consistency. I don't wait to feel good to act. I act, and the feeling follows. Let others chase hacks. Let others wait for motivation. You've chosen a better path. A path where your results speak louder than your doubts. Where your habits prove your worth. Where your consistency becomes your new confidence. Chapter 11. Cut the excuses. Build the standard. If you're truly serious about changing your life in 6 months, one thing has to die immediately: your excuses. Every version of you that failed before wasn't because you were incapable, it was because you kept making space for excuses. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. It's not the right time. I don't feel like it. These aren't facts. They're habits, and habits can be broken. Excuses are seductive. They let you feel justified while staying the same. They let you protect your ego while your progress falls apart. But here's the raw truth. As long as you keep justifying your inaction, your life will remain exactly where it is. That version of you who says, "I'll start tomorrow," they've had enough chances. That voice that whispers, "Just skip today, you deserve it," it's not your friend, it's your ceiling. Excuses will dress themselves up as self-care, as logic, even as humility. But they all have the same goal: to keep you safe, comfortable, predictable, and stuck. You want change, then your standard has to become stronger than your excuse. That means getting up when you don't feel like it. That means showing up when it's inconvenient. That means training your mind to say, "I do it anyway," because doing it when it's easy means nothing. Doing it when it's hard. That builds power. That builds identity. That builds momentum. Every time you act in spite of your excuses, you chip away at the old version of you, the version that negotiated with weakness, that played small, that stayed soft. You're not soft anymore. You're in a transformation season now. That requires a new level of self-leadership. Excuses don't exist at this level. Only decisions, only standards. You don't try to show up. You decide to show up. You don't hope to get better. You build better. You don't wait for the right conditions. You create the condition. This shift is uncomfortable because it means holding yourself accountable without anyone clapping. It means waking yourself up, pushing yourself, checking yourself when the old story tries to return. But the moment you realize that no one is coming to save you, you become powerful, because then you stop looking around and you start looking inward. You stop blaming, stop delaying, stop complaining, and you start building, brick by brick, hour by hour. You want different, then you have to move different. Not louder, not flashier, just real, quiet, gritty, non-negotiable effort. And you start by removing your favorite excuses. The ones you always run to when things feel heavy. The ones that sound smart but are built on fear. Kill them. Cut them off. Burn the bridge. Because as long as they exist, you'll always have an exit. And when things get tough, you'll take it. So close the exits. Remove the backup plans. Decide that this time, it's all in. Not when you're motivated. Not when it's easy. But every single day. And when you slip, you don't spiral. You reset. Immediately. No pity. No drama. No delay. You snap back because that's the standard now. You become someone who holds yourself like a professional, like a leader, like the future you already sees. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being unshakable. It's about being so done with excuses that they don't even enter your thoughts anymore. Because when that shift happens, you realize something. You never lacked potential. You just lacked discipline. You just gave your power away to moments of weakness. But now you're reclaiming it. Now you're choosing to move like the person you said you wanted to be. And that kind of movement changes everything. Chapter 12. Become the person who finishes. It's easy to start. Anyone can start. The energy is high. The motivation is fresh. And everything feels possible. But very few people finish. They stop when it gets boring. They stop when it gets hard. They stop when no one's watching. They stop because they never made finishing part of their identity. If you're going to change your life in 6 months, this is your edge. You finish what you start. No matter what, no matter how long, no matter who doubts you. Because the gap between who you are and who you want to be is not filled by intention, it's filled by completion. Finishing is not about speed. It's about commitment. It's about saying, this matters enough to me that I will see it through, even if it takes longer than I thought. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. That's what separates the 1% from the rest. Not talent, not luck, but follow-through. That's what creates transformation. Finishing is a habit. Just like quitting is a habit, so is finishing. It's not a moment. It's a muscle. You build it by sticking with things that feel hard. You build it by sitting in the tension of discomfort and choosing not to escape. You build it by choosing closure over comfort. Because every time you finish something, you train your brain to believe in your own power. You reinforce a story that says, yeah, I'm the kind of person who doesn't quit. That's what creates real momentum. Not excitement. Not hype. Closure. Finish your reps. Finish your reading plan. Finish the month strong. Finish the week with presence. Finish the task before jumping to the next. Completion builds character, and character builds legacy. You want your future to look different? Then finish the things your future depends on. Don't fall in love with starting. The world glorifies starters. New goals. New plans. New ideas. But what really moves the needle is grit. Grit to stay in it when the sparkle fades. Grit to keep pushing when the novelty dies. Grit to complete the cycle, not just open another loop. Starting gives you a dopamine hit. Finishing gives you a breakthrough. Let other people chase the high of beginning again and again. You're chasing depth. You're chasing follow-through. You're chasing that deep internal pride that comes from knowing you did what you said you would do. You closed the gap. You saw it through. You showed up for the full process, not just the shiny part. And that builds a different kind of power. Not external, internal, stable, unshakable. How to finish anything? Here's the truth most people avoid. You don't need more information. You need more follow-through. You already know what to do. You already know what works. The issue isn't knowing, it's finishing. And you finish by locking in on the process, not the hype. You finish by removing distractions. You finish by choosing simplicity over complexity. You finish by deciding in advance that quitting is no longer an option. This is how winners are built. They don't need the weather to be perfect. They don't need applause. They don't need to be in the mood. They just finish, over and over again. Even when it's silent. Even when it's slow. Even when it's hard. And in doing so, they build a life no one can take from them. Your 6-month finish line. Right now in this season of your life, you are in a fight, not against time, not against competition, not against your past. You are in a fight against the voice inside that says, you don't have to finish, it's okay to stop. That voice is familiar, but it's a liar, because if you quit again, you're not just delaying your goals. You're strengthening the identity of someone who gives up. But if you finish, really finish this time, you rewrite your entire story. You break cycles. You prove yourself right. You stop restarting from scratch, and you build a foundation that can carry your future. Chapter 13. Reinvent yourself from the inside out. If you want to completely transform your life in 6 months, you can't just change your habits. You have to rebuild your identity. Not patch it, not improve it slightly, but reinvent it completely. The version of you that created your current reality cannot take you to the next one. That version is tied to survival, to comfort, to patterns that no longer serve you. You've outgrown them. Now, it's time to become someone new. Not pretend, become. True reinvention is not aesthetic. It's not about changing your wardrobe, your job, or your environment first. Those are surface-level edits. Real reinvention begins at the core. how you think, how you move, how you see yourself. It starts with asking, what kind of person am I building now? Am I willing to let go of the old me to meet them? The identity shift. Most people are trapped in the loop of improvement, trying to get better while still calling themselves lazy, inconsistent, or broken. But you can't create transformation while dragging around the corpse of your past identity. You have to kill the old story. The story that says, I always mess things up. I'm not disciplined. I can't stay consistent. I've never been enough. None of that is truth. It's just repetition. It's programming you accepted without challenging it. Now is the time to challenge it. Now is the time to rewrite your code. What if you started calling yourself focused? What if you moved like someone who always finishes? What if your new story was, I do what it takes, every single day, and then you live like that's true? Because when your behavior aligns with your identity, change becomes inevitable. You don't have to fake it, you embody it. Discomfort is the doorway. Reinvention is uncomfortable. It requires detachment from old environments, old patterns, even old relationships. You will outgrow people. You will outgrow habits. You will outgrow your own excuses. And that's okay. That's the sign you're evolving. People around you might not get it. They may say you've changed. They may try to pull you back. But you're not changing to impress anyone. You're changing because your future depends on it. Discomfort is not a sign you're on the wrong path. It's the proof you're leaving the old one. So let it hurt a little. Let it stretch you. Let it purify you. Because on the other side of that discomfort is clarity, power, peace, and a version of you that you haven't even met yet, but they're waiting, and they're watching what you do now. Create rituals, not just routine. You don't build a new identity through wishful thinking. You build it through rituals, intentional actions that shape who you are becoming. Wake up at the same time. Read even when you're tired. Train your body. Write your goals. Speak your truth. Build what matters. Don't wait until you feel like it. Don't make decisions based on emotion. Make them based on who you've decided to become. Every time you show up for your rituals, even when it's inconvenient, you deepen your identity. You declare to the world and to yourself, this is who I am now. And over time, that truth becomes unshakable. Not because the world believes it, because you do. Don't rush the roots. We all want results fast. We want success to show up next week. We want validation. We want signs. But real transformation doesn't bloom like a flower. It builds like a tree, slow, steady, rooted. It's what you do in silence. It's the habits you keep when no one claps. It's the promises you keep when no one checks in. If you want to rise high, grow deep. Lay your roots in discipline, in integrity, in focus. Don't rush. Don't panic. Just plant, water, and show up. 6 months of rooted effort will produce fruit for the next 6 years of your life. If you don't quit, you are becoming unrecognizable. That's the goal. To be so different 6 months from now that people have to reintroduce themselves to you. Not because you're arrogant, because you're elevated. Your mindset sharper. Your body stronger. Your words clearer. Your energy grounded. Your decisions intentional. Your boundaries unshakable. You don't chase attention. You attract respect because you've done the work, because you've become the version of you that no longer apologizes for growing. That's who you are now. And it all starts the moment you stop negotiating with the old you and start acting from the future you. Chapter 14. The price of the next level is the old you. There is no growth without cost. And the cost of reaching your next level is simple, brutal, and non-negotiable. You must let go of who you used to be. Let go of the version of you that needed validation. Let go of the version of you that broke every promise to yourself. Let go of the comfort, the compromise, the coping mechanisms. Let go of the past identity that was built to survive, not thrive. This is the unspoken price of true transformation. And most people are not willing to pay it. They want change without discomfort. They want freedom without discipline. They want the next level without burying the current one. But that's not how it works. You cannot hold on to your old life and reach for the new one at the same time. You have to choose. And if you're serious about change, you must choose to release. Growth is a funeral. Let's be honest. Reinvention feels like grief sometimes, because you're not just building new habits, you're burying old identities. You're laying to rest the parts of yourself that once protected you. The version of you that was built around scarcity. The version that was always trying to prove something. The version that feared silence, rejection, effort. You're not killing the past with hate. You're releasing it with respect. It got you this far, but it cannot go where you're going. And the quicker you accept that truth, the smoother your rise becomes. The more you resist this funeral, the longer you delay your future. Let go. Thank the old you. Then walk forward, without apology. You don't need permission. Here's the raw truth. No one is going to tell you, you're ready. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, it's your turn to become unstoppable. You have to give yourself that permission. You have to stop waiting for someone to save you, someone to choose you, someone to endorse your growth. Because the old you was a prisoner of waiting. The new you is a creator of moments. The old you sat on the sidelines. The new you builds the arena. There is no application to fill out. There is no gatekeeper to convince. You already have the authority. You already have the access. You already have the right. You just have to walk in it. You become powerful the day you stop needing someone else to agree with your destiny. Refuse to negotiate with smallness. There's a voice in your head that still whispers, play it safe. Don't go too far. Be realistic. Stay small. That voice comes from fear, not wisdom. It comes from a lifetime of programming, not truth. You must confront it. You must stare it down. And you must decide right now that you are done negotiating with smallness. Every time you silence your potential, you strengthen your prison. But every time you step out, even trembling, you weaken the chains. And over time, the voice gets quieter, because it knows it no longer runs the show. You do. The version of you that changes everything in 6 months. They don't ask for permission to be great. They just show up and keep showing up. Build your final form in silence. This is the part where you vanish, not from the world, but from the noise, from the distractions, the approval-seeking, the conversations that go nowhere. You enter a season of focused creation, focused execution, focused power. You wake up early. You execute. You don't post about it. You don't announce it. You just become it. You disappear into the work, because when you come back, you'll be unrecognizable. The best chapters of your life are written in silence. That's where your true form is forged. That's where the next version of you is born. And 6 months from now, when the world sees what you've become, they'll think it was sudden. But you'll know the truth. It was never sudden. It was just silent. This is not motivation. This is identity. If you're still listening, you're not here for motivation anymore. You're here for identity. You are done with being inspired but unchanged. You are done with consuming and not executing. You are done with fragments of growth and no transformation. This is who you are now. You are the person who rises when it's inconvenient, who works when it's quiet, who doesn't explain themselves anymore. You are no longer chasing success. You are becoming it. And from this moment forward, everything changes. Because you have stopped asking for the next level and started moving like you already live there. Chapter 15. The Daily Mind Detox Ritual. Chapter 15. This is the beginning of your legacy. You've come a long way, not just through the chapters of this audiobook, but through a deep, private war within yourself. You've heard the truth. You've faced the mirror. You've dismantled the lies that kept you small. And now, standing at the edge of this 6-month challenge, you know what it really takes. It's not just habits. It's not just morning routines or gym hours. It's ownership. It's identity. It's becoming the kind of person who never goes back. And from this point forward, there is no return to the version of you who tolerated excuses. There is only forward. There is only fire. There is only the decision to build your legacy in real time. You are the architect now. No one is going to build it for you. No one is going to carry you across the finish line. You are the architect of your next 6 months. You decide the blueprint. You lay the bricks. You carry the cement. Every choice is a brick. Every sacrifice is a foundation. Every time you say no to what doesn't align, you rise. This is not just about progress anymore. This is about construction. You are constructing your future identity with every action you take now. So stop wondering when your breakthrough is coming. You're not waiting for the breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. People will doubt you. Let them. Some people will watch you change and say it's fake. Some will try to remind you of who you used to be. Some will laugh at your ambition. Some will whisper behind your back, "He's too intense. She's acting different." Let them, because they never saw the work. They never felt the weight of your silence. They never bled in private when you were rebuilding your mind. They never stayed up rewriting their identity while the world was sleeping. They don't have to get it, because this wasn't for them. This was for you. This was for your future family. This was for the people who will be set free because you had the courage to go first. Let them misunderstand. You're not here for validation. You're here for transformation. Every day is day one. 6 months sounds like a finish line, but it's not. It's a launch pad. This isn't the end of a sprint. It's the beginning of a new standard. Every single day from here on out, you begin again. You return to your principles. You recommit to your identity. You rebuild your standards like it's the first day, because growth never ends. And greatness doesn't come with a deadline. It comes with a discipline that never retires. You don't get to the top and stop. You rise, then reinforce. You expand. You scale. You evolve. You become the kind of person who never stops becoming. There's someone who needs you to win. Before we close, remember this. There is someone watching you right now who needs you to win. Someone who doesn't believe in themselves yet. Someone who thinks it's too late. Someone who's waiting for a sign that it's possible to change. And your life, your discipline, your silence is that sign. Your transformation is not selfish. It is service. Because when you rise, you give others permission to rise too. You are the lighthouse. You are the spark. You are the proof that 6 months of discipline can alter everything. Not just your body, not just your bank account, but your soul, your future, your legacy. So what now? Now, you close this audiobook. You turn it off. You put the headphones down, and you get to work. Not with hype, not with noise, but with quiet, focused, consistent action. You've got the tools. You've got the truth. Now you just need the execution. This isn't theory anymore. It's real. 6 months from now, you will either be proud, or you'll be explaining again. Choose pride. Choose discipline. Choose yourself. Because no one's coming. It's you. It's always been you. And you're ready.